We're doing it. We're doing it today. Today is day one of a challenge that I am setting for myself, which is spreading positivity in Rainbow Six Siege. Now, what does that mean? Oh, also, we switched our place today. You can see got Freer in here. What does that mean? Why are we doing it? What's going on? What's happening? Well, I'm glad you asked because I have all of the answers you could ever hope for right now. So, what are we doing? Well, we are hopping on Rainbow Six Siege, and we are going to attempt to find community members that are, in general, positive. Right? I know that's kind of like a kind of catch-all statement. And I'm sure some of you might be watching and being like, dude, I play Siege. I'm a positive person. But there's some stuff that I feel like Siege players specifically are known for that are a little tricky. And we're going to get into that right now. So, what are we doing? Well, we're spreading positivity in Siege. We're trying to be positive. We're trying to be nice. We're trying to be kind. And I put Siege X here because that's what it is now, right? But the big question comes as why? Like, why are we even doing this? Like, what's the point, right? Like, why even do this? Like, can't we just play Siege as it is? Well, let me kind of break it down. So I am a huge Siege endorser. I've been playing since 2018. It's a long time. I know the game came out in 2016, so I'm not a full 10 year. But I'm not nothing, right? I've been playing the game for a while, and I really enjoy it. I like the skill ceiling. I like the characters. In my opinion, it was one of the original Weeb games. There's a lot to like about Siege, the versatility, the map knowledge. Again, just having to know a lot and all of that information not even really being able to be transferred into other games, right? So why? So the reason number one is because I love Siege, and number two, the random community in Siege is it's just awful, man. Look, if you've played Siege on console or PC, I play on console. So right there, right, me just saying that part right there is going to have some kind of visceral reaction for Siege players, right? Even if you're on console, if you're on Xbox, I play on PS5. If you're on Xbox, you're going to have something to say about PS5 players, vice versa, and then both of them are going to have something to say about PC, and then back the other way, right? So already we're running into an issue, and already we're tapping into kind of one of the things that makes Siege a negative space to be, which is there's already a superiority within the community itself of which platform you play Siege on, right? And that's just one part of it, whereas the other part is very just the community is generally negative most of the time. Why I'm leaving Siege, so on and so forth. And the other thing is I want, in a lot of ways, I want to make Siege fun again for myself. Now, again, I haven't been playing forever, right? My account level's 297, so I'm 3 away from 300, which is kind of exciting. So we'll also do kind of like a road to 300, which is cool. But, I got into Siege because I watched cats like, Narcoleptic Nugget play, Marley, all of these people that were having fun with their friends in the game and doing silly things that you can only do in Siege. You cannot do them in other games. It just doesn't work out like that. So that's the why. Well, what's Siege's problem, in my opinion, right? Well, Siege's problem is, number one, everyone's mad. Everyone's mad no matter what game you get into, and we'll see this today when we're live streaming, but you're going to see everyone's always mad, right? You come in and you say, hey, how's it going, so on and so forth, and you either get somebody screaming right away directly into the mic, right, or not saying anything, and so you think that you're playing in a game with a bunch of people that have no mics, and then all of a sudden they start talking, and the only thing that they say is just backseat gaming, right? Telling you how to play, telling you what you should do, all of this stuff, right? With crosshair placement, what is that? So on and so forth. All of these things, right? So everyone's always mad, and nobody is encouraging. And I'll use this kind of loosely. I would say that 90% of the games that you run into in Siege, and again, we'll see this tonight. Maybe I'll be wrong, but 90% of the games that you run into in Siege is no one's encouraging, no one cares. Even when I learned to play Siege, the person that taught me how to play was constantly berating me. Right? Now I don't I'm not going to say that I don't mind that. It doesn't super affect me the way that it would other people, but we're going to get into why it's kind of like important to kind of change that as the game goes on, and also, as I go on through this amazing PowerPoint that I've set up so far. And the biggest problem with Siege that I think that I run into constantly, which is my biggest issue with Siege, is everybody wants to win, but nobody wants to play. Siege is a tactical team game. You have to play as a team. It's really one of the few games that it is really, really, really important. You can have somebody carry you, but it's more likely that anywhere between 2 to 3 people are carrying you through a game in Siege versus in something like a Valorant or an Overwatch or these other games where you can have one singular person as a really, really kind of top tier carry. Again, there are exceptions to these statements, but for the most part, nobody wants to play Siege the way that it's played. You will hop into a ranked game and try and hop on mic and talk, and nobody will say anything unless, again, we go back to the other things, they're mad or they're discouraging you, right? Those are the two things that are really, really difficult to kind of work past. So even if you have great call-outs, even if you're constantly talking and saying where the enemy is and pinging them and all of this stuff, most of the time you're not going to get any of that back, and people don't really care. You might see some pings. They recently came out with a reworked ping system that's supposed to kind of alleviate that, but it's still Siege. At the end of the day, the soul of Siege still remains, and it is a lot of that within the community. And the reason why I bring this up too is because, I played a lot of Siege, and eventually I got burnt out. And so I was looking for other games to scratch that itch, right? Apex Legends, Overwatch 2, all of these other games, right? And the game that I fell into that really kind of changed my tune about how communities should be is Valorant, because Valorant doesn't run into this problem as often, right? Of course, there's still toxic players in Valorant. Of course, there's still people that are mad and not encouraging, but it's not to the same level. Not only that, but more people are encouraging, and for the most part, more people are constantly communicating through the game, right? It's a tactical game. So you want to have people that are talking. Intel is like 50 to 80% of even being able to possibly win. If you don't have intel, if you don't know where the enemies are, if you don't know what's going on, you're not a mind reader. You're not just going to be able to figure this stuff out. So learned a lot of that in Valorant, but, I like Valorant. I'm not going to uninstall, but it's not Siege, dude. I mean, the ways in which you can do things. If there's, like, let's say that you're on B site in, I think it's called Bind, right? You're a B site Bind, and you're defending, and you're watching Hookah. Let's say that there's 10,000 ways to watch Hookah on B site in Bind as a defender. If it's Siege, there's 25,000 ways, right? There's just more ways that you can do things and go about stuff in Siege that isn't just the gunplay. There is a thinking aspect that I really enjoy, because I'm not the best shooter. I'm not always going to be the best shooter. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not. That's why I like Siege, because you can use different things to be able to win if, again, you're communicating and whatnot. So that's the why. That's the what. But what about the how? How are we going to do this, huh? How are we going to bring positivity or spread positivity? Well, obviously, Siege is a very large game. There are a lot of players, and one person cannot spread all of that positivity. But my goal is to really create a positive experience for me continuing to play the game, right? And the best way that I could do that is really kind of control myself and control how I'm interacting with people. I follow a lot of Siege content creators as well as Valorant content creators, and I gotta say, the solo queuing experience in Siege is just it's such a unique type of self hatred. Like, you really have to, really be geared up for it, because it is, again, it's extremely lonely in a game that is a tactical game. And then when it's not lonely, it's extremely abrasive, aggressive, and negative. So what do I do? Well, minimize tilting, right? That can be the first thing, is just kind of let it all wash over. And I was having a lot of success with this yesterday when I was playing. There was quite a lot of negativity being spewed out by, of course, the bottom fraggers, right? The bottom fraggers are always the guys or girls or whoever that are spewing the most toxicity, because they're the most mad, right? So minimize tilting and then respond in kind, right? So not in kind, but with kindness. And I think that is kind of going to be the ticket here to really work with people. People that are mad and tilting hardcore, if you are positive, they just get more mad, right? But that doesn't mean that, stop being positive. It might mean to stop talking to that person, because, you don't want to rage bait somebody. But there is a level of it where you can just understand that them being frustrated doesn't have anything to do with you. And again, in Siege, that's kind of hard, because there's stuff like TKing that can happen, right? People throw very often, but this is kind of part of the project. This is part of the challenge, I guess we can call it. So minimize tilting on my part, be kind to other people, and say the thing that Valorant players say that Siege players don't even know the meaning of. And I'm going to give you a second to try and guess what that is. Any luck? I'm going to put it right here. Nice. Try. You see that? This phrase right here is something that Valorant players say all the time. We'll even say, look, NT, right? Or if you want to get fancy, NT. Nobody says this in Siege, right? Nobody's happy with your performance. If you lose the round, even if you win the round, sometimes nobody's happy with your performance, right? But we're controlling ourselves in this. We're trying to spread the positivity, so we need to kind of keep it up. So these are the things that we're going to do for this challenge, right? We're going to minimize our own tilting. We're going to be kind to everybody else. We're going to say the thing that Valorant players say that Siege players don't even know the meaning of, and we're going to try and spread that around. Hopefully, more and more people will catch on. So we have the why, we have the what, we have the how. Well, what's our goal here, right? Because I can just do this forever and have there be no goal. I think, to be realistic, we're going to start off with some pretty simple and easy goals when it comes to this challenge. So, excuse my my spelling here. I'm doing what I can. First thing, goal. If I say good game at the end of the game, which I should be doing, right, because that goes with my be kind rule, having someone say it back. That's what we're looking for, right? And you may be watching this as a player of a different game and thinking that this is a ridiculous ask, that this is something that happens all the time in the game that you play. You might even play like a fighting game like Tekken or Blaze Blue or Guilty Gear and say good game and somebody else says good game back. Not in Siege, not your teammates. That's not what happens. So one of our goals is to get that to happen. Goal number 2, be kind on the losing team and have someone else be kind. So this comes back down to our nice try, right? Hey, nice try, good game. Can't get all of them. Somebody else hops on mic and be like, hey, man, nice playing with you. Good game. Stay up, whatever, right? Good luck on your rank grind, whatever. That is going to be our other goal. And our final goal is go a whole game with comms and wholesomeness with at least one other teammate. Because the problem with Siege is